Welcome to the Soul Fresh podcast. Today we're going to be talking about COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccinations. Obviously, there is a lot going on with COVID-19 and the fight against beating COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccinations on who should take it, who shouldn't take it, why are we taking it? But we're going to talk about it. So I brought in Dr. Joshua Murfree to shed some light on this conversation. Dr. Murfree is an educator, researcher, author, clinician, and community leader. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the floor and let him talk about COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccinations.
I'm Dr. Joshua Murfree. I want to say good afternoon to all of y'all who are listening in today. And today our topic is going to be about COVID-19, where we are with the Delta variant and so forth and so on. But let me tell you, I serve in the role of the COO at the Fulton DeKalb Hospital Authority in Atlanta, Georgia, and we are the proud owners of the Grady Health System. But as we talk about COVID, and I want to be a straight up conversation today, as we talk about COVID and some of the things that we're doing, this whole administration in the United States are trying to get everybody there. You mentioned remember the word herd immunity. That means 80% of a population. Let's make it real simple. And I use church. Just say if there were 500 individuals in a church, that means 80% of that particular population need to be vaccinated if they're coming in that particular building. We're trying to do the same thing in our communities, whether we're in Warner Robins, Georgia, or Macon, Georgia. Say there are 10 individuals, for instance, in your home. 8 of those individuals need to be inoculated to make sure that people don't catch the COVID. Or if they did, it won't be so severe. I tell people don't play with COVID-19. I mean, it's been here now over 18 months and people are still getting sick and people are dying still because they don't want to be inoculated. Let me say to this, I can't force you. I cannot make you. Won't say to you and say, hey, just go ahead and take the shot. You'll be fine. People have religious beliefs. That's one that keeps them away. The other is fear. Fear, and some people don't want to just take a shot. They fear the needle. But the other is institutional fear. What will happen to me if I decide to take this shot and I get sick? I've heard people getting sick before. Let me tell you this. Let's go with where we are with FDA approval. FDA, Food Drug Administration, has approved the Pfizer. The Pfizer can be taken now from someone who's 12 and above. FDA approved for 15 and above. So I'm saying to you, it's fine, yes, to give to a 12-year-old. My concern is that, let's use the school district, and let me go there as a topic. Suppose we send students back to school who are age 1 to 11. We're sending them into a war zone because people can't be inoculated. We're sending them to a zone where people are not masked and people can get sick, including children. And say you return home, and when you return home to your mother, your father, your grandparents, and you can also get sick from that point. We really need to take this virus extremely, extremely serious. We've been trying to get there as African Americans. We have African Americans who say, I'm not going to take it. One, because I remember the Tuskegee experiment. Let me say to you, this is not an experiment. In the Tuskegee experiment, there must have been about 500 individuals in the study. And let me help you understand the study. There were people who were actually given medication. There were some that were not. There are two groups. There's a control group who will not actually get a medication. And there was an experimental group who would actually get. The control group can be somebody who gets something called a placebo. That means like a sugar pill. It's fake. Well, that's always intentional in research. But what happened with the 299, some of the people who were actually supposed to get the real drug did not get it. This is not the case with Pfizer. This is not the case with Moderna. This is not the case with Johnson, Johnson, and Janssen. It's up to you. I'm not trying to bargain for any of the ones, whether it's Pfizer, whether it's Moderna, whether it's Johnson, Johnson, and Janssen. They are studying. They are not practicing on anyone. Don't be afraid to go in there and get that shot. When you look at someone, you say, well, I'm going to take my chances. When you take a chance, you also put other people at risk because you've taken that chance. Right now, you're hearing people say, I won't gather with you. People can't come in this building if they're not masked and they haven't been vaccinated or inoculated. And we're doing that as an organization. I'm going to pause right now and take other questions if there may be other questions, but I want you to be serious about it. You might say, well, Dr. Murfree, when did you get? I got inoculated and vaccinated by Pfizer in February, and then again on March the 12th, 2021. Did it hurt? No, it did not. Did you feel bad? No. Did you have any side effects? No. Don't laugh at me when I say this. I actually forgot I got the shot in February. Went outside late in the evening after work. Guess what I did? Start mowing my yards. Yes, it was late February. My yards need to be mowed. I didn't think about it. And my wife was coming home. She said, "What are you doing? Didn't you get your shot today?" I said, "I did." She said, "You don't feel bad?" I said, "No, I feel great." So when I got the second shot in March, guess what I did? I did my own study. I wanted to see if I would feel bad. Never got a fever, never feel sick, so forth and so on. Off to the races. Drank a lot of water because I'm in the yard. It's still the same concept. People, please think about your family. Think about what's happening. Let me take you somewhere else. I know you're saying to me, "Well, Dr. Murfree, I know some people who have taken the shot and they've gotten sick after taking the shot, caught the COVID again." Guess what? Let me say this to you. Still mask up. A guy called me a superhero, a superhuman being one day. I said, no, I'm not listening to that. They say, why? You've had the shot now. You can go in and go out. You don't have to wear a mask. I don't believe that. I believe you still mask up. You've had that shot, still wear your mask to safeguard. Suppose someone tell you, yeah, I had the shot, and they're part of your herd immunity. And guess what? They have not. You get sick. Guess what happens? There's research also showing after going through COVID-19, after taking the shot, there are people who actually get the COVID again. Say they get the Delta variant, that mutation. We're hearing that people can get well, but they then can suffer from something called black lungs. Black lungs can cause death, fatality. So we want you to make sure that you're doing what's necessary. You still have the opportunity to be tested. You still have the opportunity later on, people who are elderly and people who have a certain type of medical condition. Let me go to that next phase. If you have a medical condition, you might say, I don't want to take the shot. That's why they have physicians. Go to your physician, your primary physician, and say, look, I want to take this shot, but I have diabetes, I have high blood pressure, I have something going on with my abdomen. I fear if I take the shot, I could be worse off. Have that conversation. Let your doctor understand. And if you've had COVID, some places will say take it 30 days after, some say take it 90. Look at what the CDC says. When you look at the CDC and you study that, you can also look at the WHO, the World Health Organization, look at what Emory is saying, Grady is saying. All of them can say to you, National Institute of Health, if you will. I always tell people to listen to Sanjay Gupta and listen to Dr. Fauci. I mean, being epidemiologists, these people know what's going on. It's just hard to stop. They don't know all of the answers, can't know all the answers, won't know all of the cures. Somebody say, well, am I cured, Dr. Murfree, if I take the shot? No, you're protected. You're protected around each other. You're protecting others from you if you decide to be inoculated. Thank you again for the opportunity to continue the conversation. As we move forward, we think about the fact that Pfizer has a shot now, inoculation or vaccination for young people who are 12 and up. As I mentioned the FDA 15 to 16 has approved that with Pfizer and no one else at this time. And I know parents are having a difficult time. Should I get a 12-year-old vaccinated? I say to you, study it. I say to you, understand it. I say to you, again, if that young 12-year-old goes to school, comes home, and has a fever, not feeling good, find out has COVID, if you will, what actually happens if that student brings that COVID, your child, my grandchild, back home? I mentioned early on, 1 to 11, they go into a war zone because they don't have the coverage other than for their mask. I say to you, work on it again. Talk to your physician about it. I think it's a great move. I think it's a move that's being understood. You have to keep in mind when you develop any type of medicine or medication for a young person, when it's being studied, just like they've studied the whole piece with Pfizer, Moderna, and also Johnson, and Janssen, they had to make sure to study. They had to look at the trials. You as a family make that decision. When I talk to my friends who have children 12 and up, they're getting them inoculated. They're getting them vaccinated. I know people already on the street. Again, listen to the sciences. We got people still listening to the street committee. I won't do it because when they turn 14, 15, they won't be fertile. They won't be able to do this. They won't be able to go into puberty. Look, again, we can have those thoughts. We can start thinking about all of that. Again, you have physicians. Again, you have epidemiologists out here, biophysiologists who study this daily to help us understand. protect your children. Now, let me take you somewhere else. And I know I keep saying like the mask. The mask is not a cure, but the mask is certainly a deterrent. It deters us from catching certain things. And last year, our flu almost went away. And somebody say, why? We had on a mask. We washed our hands. We were apart at least 6 feet. Don't stop that. And I say that to you from Dr. Murfree. Let me tell you why. Have you ever heard of something called a twindemic? Something that Fauci is talking about, something that Sanjay Gupta is talking about, something that this country is talking about. A twindemic is this. That means you already have a pandemic. A twindemic is to have both the flu or influenza, you can have pneumonia, or you can have a stomach virus. What happened to all that last year? When you put a mask on, wash your hands, and you socially isolate yourself, guess what happens to the twindemic? It takes it away. Go and read what's going on in Denmark, when almost 100% of the people have been inoculated. What's happening with COVID? What's happening with the mutation, if you will, of Delta? And now there's another mutation. Just listening to a group from Pfizer on yesterday. They're saying the beauty of Delta right now, and really no beauty for me because people are still dying, people are still going in the hospital, and so forth and so on. But guess what? Delta is now fighting off as a mutation itself to COVID-19. It's fighting away. You remember Lambda? You're not hearing a lot about Lambda. Somebody say you're going through the whole Greek alphabets. But let me tell you, Mu is already being talked about. But it's as if Delta is so strong, it's fighting against, for us, the mutation of Lambda and Mu. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that. But again, think about the twindemic. I'm not trying to put fear, but just think about it. And I say to myself, and I told my wife and my friends and colleagues and all, I'm going to keep on my mask. You say, I don't have a mask now. Oh, yes, I do. The person interviewing me has on a mask, so I can keep mine off. But I keep a mask wherever I travel, wherever I go. I have that with me as a form of protection. When I walk in here, I wash my hands. When I leave out, I'll wash my hands. Let's continue to do those kind of things, to make things of the sort, to make sure that we're safe. Safe as a community. For you, for me, for our family, and yes, for the future. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to serve and also be a part of this presentation.
Thank you for joining us on this brief conversation on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccinations. You can check out the full episode of this podcast as me and J. Steve go deeper in a little bit in talking about this conversation. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also Amazon Music under the Soul Fresh Podcast.